Okay, I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. Man, it's great to see a big crowd out here tonight. Minutes of the January 15th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report and payment of the bills. We have a motion and a second. Gene, I know you had some questions, but you got them answered?
I did. Thank you.
Perfect. And anyone else have any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Mr. Ray Jackson, come on down with your team and give us an update.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Give us an update on this project.
Good evening. Got a full list of items I'd like to cover with you, one of which obviously has been taken
I want to
on.
pull that a little closer to you.
The MML. So we got an email from Lewis, I
Yep.
think Michelle, about potentially a tour, but I think that's all the table now, so we don't need to do that.
Yeah, so the I can bring that up to, I'm going to bring it up so everyone's aware of it. So the Maryland Municipal League delegation is coming in town on Monday. That would be the president of the MML and the vice president, the treasurer, and folks from the MML office. So initially, we really weren't sure of what the time frame was going to be, but we did get the agenda today, and they're going to try to visit all the municipalities in Cecil County, and they're going to be here at 1:15, and we have them till 2 o'clock. So there's not much we can do. By the time I say a few words and get them all pumped up about the town of Elkton, that'll probably be about the end of it. But I did ask Mike Brown to come in at 1:15. And we're going to talk to the delegation about showing them the sideline sports, the sportsplex, Southfields. And then when they leave here, they're heading to Chesapeake City, and they'll be able to see the project progress on the right-hand side.
That's perfect.
But I'd love to have the whole board there. If you can make it 1:15, it'd be great if you can. If you can't, that's fine also. Sorry, I took your thunder. Go ahead.
No worries. So quick construction update, just to bring everybody up to speed. You've been seeing the vertical construction that has started for the apartments, Modern Living Solutions. I think he said to me that they'll be setting their last building the end of this month. So their plan is to be operational end of the spring, early summer, it looks like right now. We settle with D.R. Horton in the next week or so. So D.R. Horton is the single family detached home builder, which is kind of behind where the apartments are being built. And there's already 15 to 20 lots that are available for them to purchase and start building on. So that'll probably start within the next month. So I would think we would start seeing some vertical construction on housing in March. So very positive things. And they're not a onesie twosie builder. They'll build 20 at a time, just so you know. So they'll build inventory and sell from inventory. Typically builders will sell a couple at a time, or build a couple at a time, sell them, and then move on. Horton does it a little bit differently. So that's what we want. We think that there's a pent up demand. So this is positive for everybody.
Do you know off the top of your head the pricing of that? It's probably not your.
I can generally speak to that. I would say when I first came in here 4 years ago and had this conversation, I told you it was going to start with a 3. I think it'll be a high 3, and I think the house will probably be in the mid 4s. That's what my guess would be.
Okay.
I think there'll be a starter type homes that are more what we call builder's beige, not a lot of bells and whistles. So they'll probably be 350, 375 is my guess. And you're going to have houses that'll approach 500,000 on. And if you recall, the second phase of the housing is the higher end, what is planned to be the higher end. That's on the other side of 213 in Frenchtown Road.
And that's parcel H.
That's correct. That's parcel H. That's exactly right. We did settle 2 months ago with Alliance, which is the retail developer. They hired a local engineer. They've been working a lot with Tom Miner, Fred Ward, and they're processing their plans. They'll probably be in the planning commission in the next couple of months. Their intent is to be breaking ground this summer as well. Again, good positive stuff. I think you know the status of Mike Brown's sports complex. Mike's here if you have any questions of him. The majority, and Johnny from our development team is here with DJ and Ryan. They can answer any technical questions you have. But very quickly, the infrastructure, the boulevard is primarily done, as you've seen. There's still a connection to 213 state highway connection that needs to take place. We're currently working with Delmarva Power to bring power in so we can energize the well house, so we can get the water tower filled and we can start testing the water lines. And we're also building a pump station, I think you all know, in the back of the property. All of that is progressing and we're making great progress. So no hiccups there. Feel very comfortable and confident with our construction schedule. So I'd like to take a couple minutes. I want to introduce Johnny to you. I think you all have met him before. He's a civil engineer. He works for Stonewall Capital. And we have asked him to help us with the park and the planning of the park. So I'm going to give Johnny 5 minutes to talk about that if I could.
Very good.
Good evening. So on the park, a few action items: the MOA, design development, and our next steps. On the MOA, it summarizes saying that the developer is going to transfer 10 acres to the town for the park. It outlines the state grant, and of course, the developer assisting the town with entitlements. One key thing about the MOA is that we have a need for a town rep or liaison in this agreement.
Can I just interrupt you real quick?
Yes, of course.
And I just wanted to kind of bring everyone back in the loop a little bit again. The town of Elkton received a $250,000 state grant to do the investigation, design, to see if this is even feasible. And we haven't moved forward with that at this point. Now we've got KCI working on the plans. They probably may have some of that stuff finished, but we have to enter into that MOU with these guys so that we can move forward with that grant and see if it's feasible or not.
So let me just explain again what the it's called actually a MOA. We refer to it as a memo of understanding, memorandum of understanding. The state calls it a memo of agreement. Okay, just that's what the difference in the terminology is. In order to pull the grant funding, you all have to have in place the right to possess the property. So we're donating the property to you. That's delineated in this, and we've given you guys copies of it. We can email it to whomever needs it. But the first step is we have to come to an agreement on what we're giving you and how we're giving it to you, so on and so forth. So you can be what's called the equitable title owner of the property. That's what this is all about. Without that, you can't draw the money. So, and the money is being used for KCI. If we recall, we had this conversation to do the due diligence to ensure that what we want to do, you can do. That's what we're trying to do right now. So if Johnny is basically saying we need someone for the town, from the town, to be the liaison, to work with us and with KCI, whether it's Gene or whomever. We just need somebody to be identified to that. Sorry.
So on that too, KCI already prepared a study that kind of outlined the park current status, its zoning, its environmental possible constraints. And this is kind of the basis of our design development for the park. So again, without town input, we can't decide what the proposed park uses are. And without an MOA being signed, we can't make any steps forward. So KCI wants to begin engineering. They're anxious, they're ready, and they're trying to set up a meeting with all of us to discuss and outline what the park should be. The next steps for engineering are the environmental studies. So once you get the MOA papered, we'll start putting some feelers out for soils, trees, other natural environmental concerns. We'll go through a zoning review to make sure that the park has adequate zoning for whatever proposed uses we agree on. And right now it's zoned as RCA, so there are some limitations as to what the park can be used for per zoning currently. The study and our evaluation with KCI will help us understand what our zoning review and amendments should be changed to. And then once we have all those constraints outlined, we can finally start the park improvement plan. So there are a few steps even, before we get to start. And
So
of
Johnny,
course-
you're taking the lead on this?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So what we'll do is, as an action item, Michelle, we'll follow up and we'll get, I would say to be Quinn or Jean. And we'll get, I think it's Nick from KCI.
Correct, yeah.
And we'll get that meeting scheduled. And I'd like to know the dates because I'd like to be there too, or if anyone with the board wants to be there also.
And we can recirculate the MOA and of course KCI's opportunity study for your review prior to that meeting.
At what point does the critical area commission come into play?
Once we decide what we are designing. So once we know what we're going to do, then we can start kicking off all the state departments that have oversight on this.
Okay.
Any questions? All right.
That was easy. Can you bring up the site plan or do D1? The next thing I want to talk about is, so one of the other parcels at Southfields is, do you have an overall site plan? Yeah. I sat in this, right at this table, when I first came here, probably in 2020, and met with Chip and Jean, and the mayor was here. Earl, you might have been here. Lewis was definitely here. And Chip had raised concerns to me about townhouses. And I looked him in the eye and I made an agreement verbally that I was not going to build townhouses at Southfields. I did that. What we're proposing now, and I've got Earl Robinson here, who is the president and the owner of Ward Communities. Ward Communities is a 50-plus-year-old company out of Harford County. Used to be called Bob Ward. It's now called Ward Communities. Earl owns it, and we've entered into an agreement with them to build 70 villas, which I'm going to show you in a second, because this is, I have an internal issue myself because of the commitment I made with Chip, and I want to talk about this because it's important to me. It's this parcel right here that we're talking about. It's D1.
All right, where are you?
Right here.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's
So this is Whitehall Road.
Behind
This-
Redner's.
Yep, behind Redner's.
Where the senior apartments were supposed to
That's right, and that's what we're proposed. So what we're proposing, can you bring up Earl's? So what we're talking about is houses that are still connected. So technically you could say they're townhouses. But when you see them and what you see what we're proposing, it's not, this is what. There you go. So this is what a villa looks like. And it's going to be an age targeted product. These are all individual houses. You want to come up and talk about it?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Love to.
And they're second story.
They can have that. Yeah, they can. We have options for that. We even have an option as a rooftop deck on these. We're currently building these in Bully Rock, this exact product. So Ray and I began talking about this. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, for allowing
And give
us.
us your name again.
Earl Robinson. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank
Ray.
you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So Ray and I have known each other a long time. We started talking about this opportunity, and I said, you have to see what we're doing at Bully Rock. This is not, it's attached, but this is a very unique product, very, very upper end. This is a Carson. You actually enter. This is a Carson. I'm sorry, they look similar. This is a Carson. You actually enter on the side of this with a two-car garage in the front. This home is a base square footage of 1,281 square feet with a first floor primary bedroom with optional bedrooms upstairs, which become the grandkids area. There's a loft and a couple bedrooms up there. And then we also offer some options where you can literally even add a third layer with a rooftop deck, which is what we are doing at Bully Rock. So to give you guys an eye, and the square footage, you can take this up to just short of 3,000.
Now, when you use the word rooftop deck, explain that to me.
Simply a third floor up here, as you see this here.
So can you sit there?
You can sit there, and it's a loft area that you'd open up sliders and come out to a covered deck area. Very, very nice and unique. We're selling these in Bully Rock. We start at 489 in Bully Rock for this home. And we go all the way up to, like, we just had a sale last week to give you guys an idea of 696,000 for that attached product, not even an end of group. And we expect this to be not as expensive as that. Those have some views of the Chesapeake, but this is a very upscale product. And what most folks ask us is, let me get this straight. There's single family homes from the upper threes, and this is going to be fours maybe and fives. The answer is yes. It's a very different buyer. This was when we built the same exact product in New Windsor in Carroll County. So we've been building this and we're just tweaking it as we go along, making it a little more impressive. The folks who are buying this are downsizing. They're selling their current home for hundreds of thousands more than they ever dreamed of, and they want to age in place. So they get all the bells and whistles. So this turns into be not just a base home at all. It's got all the granite, all the marble, all the hardwood floors. And when they have grandkids that do spend time with them on weekends, for example, they want the upper levels, and that turns into a billiard room or a playroom for the grandkids.
And each one of these they have a garage.
They do. They're all 2-car garages. These are separate. That's a home. That's a home. That's a home. All separate, simply just joined by a party wall.
So Ray, your dilemma is you came to us and you said, I don't want to do townhouses.
Well, I
Or
would
you,
say it a
we
little
didn't
different.
want townhouses.
That's correct, yep. And I think the primary concern initially was concerning the breaks of the HOAs that you've had. And there's been issues with parking, from what I understood. So I sat here and I looked Chip in the eye and I said, I'm not gonna build townhouses. And this could be considered, it's an attached product. So someone could say it's a townhouse. So I wanted to have a direct conversation with you and you know, before we move this thing forward, we want to go in front of the planning commission and we want to present the plan and the process, go through the normal process. But I wanted to be candid with you and upfront and share the commitment that I made previously.
So what is the basic difference or commitment when you say on one hand, attached product and on the other, a townhouse? What's the differentiation between the two? Or is there? Or somebody was asking a question about, again, townhouses.
I would say that I would call that a villa.
villa,
To
I
answer
say
your
that
question,
earlier.
there is no, a townhouse is an attached product.
Okay.
It is.
I think what our experience had been with townhouses is all the parking.
Yeah.
We've never had a product
This is gorgeous.
that, we haven't had a product that had the garages,
Right.
right?
No.
Because we're always fighting over parking with the townhouses that we've had here in the past.
True.
And that's something that we'll discuss with the planning commission and the planning commission. I mean, as you can see, he's showing 2-car garage parking and then 2-car driveway parking. He's showing 4-car parking.
Correct.
So we're gonna over park these things.
Who maintains this? The homeowner?
Well, our intention would be that the land, all the maintenance would be part of the HOA. So this is no maintenance because this is a buyer, like I was saying, that is stepping down. So when we market it, the weather we've had is perfect for selling these. We say, put the shoveling aside, you don't have to worry about any of that. So the HOA would cover all that.
That's huge, because if they're supposed to be for seniors, that's what we want. We
Exactly.
want,
So they mow the grass, it'll be in front, they'll shovel the sidewalks.
right.
correct.
The homeowner doesn't have to do that, so that kind of takes care of my concern, because that's the purpose of senior housing, where somebody can go retire, live comfortably, not have to cut the grass.
To your point, Gene, what we originally had talked about was doing a building, like a 4-story senior
Apartment,
condo.
like apartment condo.
Well, we can't do apartments because our product mix and our percentages are skewed the other way. And that's part of the dilemma. So we can't build a senior housing project there unless it's for sale. And there's no market to sell a senior condo building. There's just no market to sell it. So we feel that this is a good alternative. It changes our product mix. I wanted to have an open dialogue and talk about this with you
But
all.
it's not restricted.
It's age targeted.
It is?
Well, he's gonna target 55 and older people to buy these, yes.
And so there is a market for the 55 plus to actually come in and take care of the needs financially with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go one step further. In talking about the maintenance, this is a little, we even go one step further with this. The trim that we use, everything is vinyl wrapped. There's no exterior maintenance either. On top of, you don't have any snow shoveling or lawn to cut. You don't have any paint to trim. Everything you see here is vinyl wrapped. So the entire home, there's no exterior maintenance. It's a huge selling point, and our buyers, they just love this because they're coming from, many of them taking care of 2 acres, and they're saying, I just can't do it anymore. And that's a perfect alternative, because when you start, you can add the second layer and a finished lower level to this. There's a lot of square footage. Most of the lower level, in many cases, we have a big storage area in it. So you have a rec room in there, so you can have the Eagles room down there. You can have your football room, and then you've got your storage area in there. So folks who are coming from a large home, they don't have to get rid of everything. But then you add the upstairs, and then you've got all the room for the grandkids or the party room, however you want to look. It is really popular. These are not small. One thing I do want to say is we call these villas. These are 30 feet wide. These are 32 feet wide. These are not narrow, typical what you would see. These are large homes when you're standing on the outside looking at them.
I did notice that the architecture seems a little different from your usual townhome. You mentioned that this is an option to be built this high. So this is not necessarily what we'll see.
Well, yes and no. Okay, so this home here is a Carson. This is a 1-level home. This one, even if you didn't get the upstairs, it still has the dormers on it. So from the outside, it looks the same. So I can't tell you whether they had an upstairs or not, because we build it that way. So does that look? This is a Jordan. When you're building on the inside like this one comes like this with 2 stories on it. So you can build them different ways. That's what I'm getting at, is we have options to do the upstairs on the Carsons or the Sophias, and the Jordans come 2 stories.
And how does it come down to which way you build? Is depending on the buyers?
Yeah, whatever you want. The only stipulation is a Carson, as you see this walkway here, you enter on the side of the home. So since you enter on the side, this has to be on the end. But a Jordan or a Sophia, like you see, can be on the end or an interior because you're entering in the front. So we can move them around. So our customers, as they come in, they're not only choosing the floor plan that they want, they're choosing the elevation that they want, and they're choosing how many levels they want. So it's really a lot of choices for them to kind of mix and match. And we've even designed this, all the roof lines tie in. So that it doesn't look odd like you have this, it doesn't have that appearance because we build them with the high roofs in them, so it looks, so they seamlessly go across.
How do you build them? How do you sell them out and build them sporadically? I mean, if you have one buyer for the whole triple unit, how do you?
I mean, if only one is sold,
Yeah.
we build all 3. We will build.
What do you not do the interior because that the potential buyer hasn't picked out their floor plan?
That's a great question. We do it a couple of different ways. It depends on how many we have that are finished. So I'm being hypothetical here. Let's say that we have 2 or 3 buildings with only 1 sold. We would finish a few because we do have the seniors who are moving to the area potentially. Very common that they're moving back to be with grandkids. We're seeing a lot of that. In that home, we would finish a few. The other ones we take to drywall and stop. And at that point, you can come in and choose all your cabinetry, all your baths, all your flooring still in the home.
Okay.
That's a great question.
And they're built in 3s.
Not necessarily. There's different layouts of different sizes that we have. We're simply showing you this one was 3.
Okay.
They typically, we typically don't go more than 5 in a row, but this is not an 8 unit townhomes like which you would typically see where you mentioned no parking. That's not the case at all.
I'm gonna ask, Do you have any that are one story that would be lower in sale price?
The Carsons would be our lowest price homes.
Okay.
We expect that's 1,281 square feet. That would be, I'm guessing on pricing now, probably around a 379, 389 starting price. And I would expect these to go up. God willing, as I always say, I would expect us to have prices probably around 550 on some of the ones that folks, like I've mentioned, they've made more on their home than they ever dreamed that they were going to. And they also keep in mind, in many cases, they don't want capital gains. If the customers who understand that, so they put many options in it and have a much higher sales price. Mhm.
Well,
And Commissioner Gibbons, one of the things that I would say about your question, the typical townhouse, and Earl made reference to this, is about 20 feet wide.
Okay.
And and they're in racks of 6 to 8 to 10.
Mhm.
These are 30 feet wide, 32 feet wide, and there's less per unit. We haven't designed any of this yet. I wanted to come and have this conversation and make sure you guys are okay with it. And then we will engage an engineer and we will go to the planning commission and start the process. But we haven't laid out the site plan per se yet.
Listen, I can tell you my opinion. I love the age targeted. I can see that a spot where a lot of these older folks up here that might want to go in there, but the young guy like myself,
Mhm.
In 10 years. Mr. Mayor.
I could actually see myself going
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
How large is that parcel? I mean, how many units?
10 acres.
How many units can you get on that?
We're thinking 70 maybe.
Really?
Mhm.
If it was a townhouse community, you'd try to get 15. 15 per acre, excuse me,
Mhm.
15 per
Yeah.
acre, so 150.
Mhm.
So it's just a little different. And part of it has to do with the market and where we see the market going. And quite frankly, we're comfortable and confident with an age-targeted product here. We think it's going to be very successful. Kathy Bathon's been talking to me about this for 5 years, saying that there's such a huge demand and need in Elkton for a product like this.
Any questions from the board? So what are you asking us about this?
I'm asking you for a green light to proceed, to allow us to start the process to go to the planning commission. Once we get a concept plan with elevations, then we'd like to be able to go in front of the planning commission. I will-
Yeah, you can do that anyway, with
I
without
felt-
our blessing.
Well, I felt an obligation because I sat in this room and I said I wasn't gonna build townhouses. And unfortunately, I think what I'm gonna hear maybe from planning is that, wait a minute, you're changing what you said. So I wanted to act like a man and come in here and tell you what I said and put the cards on the table. That's what I'm trying to do.
I think it's a wonderful looking project.
Beautiful.
I mean, it would only elevate our community by
Without
having a
question.
product like that.
And it's gonna elevate your tax rolls,
Mhm.
and it'll be less demand on your infrastructure, right? So it does make sense.
Does anyone have any major concerns about presenting it or letting it go, move forward?
Certainly, he's come in before the mayor and the commission and given his theory on what he would like to see, even though he did say, and I do remember, he wasn't gonna build townhouses, and take it from there. Because I guess our thumb is on the green light at this point, as far as the conversation we've heard from you to
Right.
move forward.
Yeah. If you don't go in this direction, what's left?
Wait till the market changes and debt markets and equity markets change, and maybe we build a senior building there.
I think I'd rather have that than a senior building.
So would I. Problems that you would encounter.
You just can't build even apartment buildings, even though we are building apartments back there now, the industry, the way the debt markets are and the equity markets, you can't go borrow money to build apartments right now. So it's just a different world. Things change. But we feel that and Earl and his company feel comfortable and confident enough that it's a good market for this product. And I think it's a wonderful product with a great local builder, which I think is also important. And you can see the difference between them and D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton's a production builder. They build 20, 30 houses at a time. That's what they build. We know that. This is a better product. It's going to be more expensive. There's going to be less of them. I think it's complementary to the development. That's what I personally think.
You guys have any objection?
Have you seen the houses they're building, not in Middletown, as you go into Middletown, the townhouses that they're building over there? Or anybody seen that great big boom? Nothing but townhouses, townhouses, townhouses. There's not a Wawa in front of it, but a service station or something there. And not to make any comparison to that, but I'm just wondering now, what is somebody's commitment? And then, go to New Jersey and you see rows of townhouses, and I just wonder why. Of course, each person has a preference, what they want to do, how they're going to make money, who they're going to attract. But of course, these look a whole lot better. Certainly, I'm in agreement with everybody that has spoken, but it's interesting.
I've had 10 people try to buy this ground to build townhouses on it, including people that are building houses in this town right now.
Right.
And we have respectfully told them that we can't do that. I just think this is a different product. You can say it's an attached product. Yes, it is. And that's why I felt obligated to come in here and have the conversation. It's not a typical townhouse. It's not.
I'd say it's an upgrade.
Without question.
A major upgrade townhouse. So yes, technically you could, but that architecture is very nice.
I still wish, and has nothing to do with this plan at all, but I still wish we could have come up with something for seniors similar to what's across the street that's affordable to probably a large majority of seniors
I would like to see that.
that live
myself,
here.
if we
I
could.
think the two that we have are they're busting at the seam,
Mhm.
It would be nice to have that, like Candy is telling you, we need senior housing. We also need some that are a little bit not as, expensive.
So I'll address that. The mayor asked us to look at another piece of property inside of the town limits. We're actively looking at developing another piece of property in the town limits that is specifically for seniors.
Well, that answers my concern, doesn't it? That would be phenomenal.
I want to be candid. The seller is difficult. I'm not going to mention any names.
That's not- don't need
We're
to,
working
but-
through the process. You know about it. You suggested it. So we're,
Yeah, okay.
so
Very good.
That's good to hear it,
Yeah.
honestly, because when this all started, I guess in my mind, that's what I envisioned was a continuation of what we currently have to offer to the average senior. I would love to be in one of these, seriously, like tomorrow. I'm not sure I can afford it.
well, and Ryan and I are going to talk to you about we're going to show you something else in a second, and we have some maneuverability. So we need to hear these comments. That's why, I made a commitment, Commissioner Gibbons, to come in here every other month.
You should.
And
Yeah.
we need to have this dialogue. We
Yeah.
need to hear your input too, so we can, plan. I need to say this, jobs like this, they pivot. What you originally planned never gets built because the world changes. It's just the reality of the world that we live in as developers. We have a great builder with a great opportunity. I want to try to capitalize on it. So, but we need to hear your feedback and we need to know, get guidance and direction. That's why I asked Johnny to come in here tonight and talk about the park. because we need to know what you guys want to see there and to make sure it's going to work.
Speaking of the park, or the RV park portion of it,
Get
right?
into that in a minute.
Sorry.
All good stuff.
All right, well, listen, I think you got the blessing from our end.
Great. Can I keep going?
Yeah,
3 more things. I
all right,
promise.
come on.
So Ryan, can we come up and talk about, so we recently purchased, I'm gonna, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the existing PUD as it was originally formulated. You have the industrial over here. Obviously, the first building's already been built. On this side, you have the boulevards in, apartments going in here. We're probably about a month, maybe a month and a half from starting the singles, which is great news. Obviously, yesterday, the approval of the sports park went in. That's rolling. We're hoping for the retail to start grading in maybe the next 6 months. So everything's on target. The more upscale singles on the other side, that you'll start to see some more information coming in on that from DR Horton on the entitlement of that. But as you have probably guessed, when you have a project of this size, it gets a gravity of its own. And everyone starts coming to you saying, what about this? What about this? What about that? So we had an opportunity to look at this parcel right here. We actually, because of all of the investment we've made in both the upgrades to the road that we're going to make on 213, as well as all of the retail that's going in on this side that's going to support the sports park. We ended up purchasing the ground on the other side of the road so that, in essence, we wouldn't be cannibalizing our own retail, so that we'd have retail on both sides. We could work to make it integrated, not fall over each other's feet, building a Foot Locker next to an athlete's foot sort of thing, get a nice mix of product. The opportunity came up to purchase the ground behind it. It's somewhat the hole in the donut. It's a piece of ground that has sat there vacant for a while with an approved concept for actually a subdivision of around 35 single-family lots. The lots were never built on because there's a lot of wetlands and environmental difficulties there. It will probably never be developed as a just straight single-family estate lot community because the costs associated with building the roads, you really wouldn't get enough units in between where all the wetlands are. So we took a look at it and we've come up with an idea. Obviously, much like we talked about the retail before, this town has a lot of pent up demand, but people aren't widgets and they're not all the same. They don't all have the same budgets. They don't have the same wants and needs. We're obviously coming in with apartments for those getting started in their professional lives. We have single family houses that are more starter homes. We have hopefully single family houses that are more upscale. We have some for sale villa product if we go forward with that plan for potential retirees and people who want minimal maintenance. We felt that the missing piece of the puzzle was the step between the apartments and the single family homes on the 60-foot lots. So we had been searching for a different product that would work. We were approached by a group called Chatham Bay. Some of you might be familiar with them from some of the projects they have in Delaware. This is from a project they have called Eden Hill Village in Dover, which I'm happy to take you to take a look. But the product is very similar to the villa product, except it's detached and it's also rental. So you can go through the next. There's a variety of different products, but they've been exceedingly successful. Not everyone who wants a single family home is one in a position to buy a home, or two necessarily wants to buy a home. You have some people who plan to be in an area for 4 years while they're working on a contract, or they want to go to a certain high school for a certain amount of time. They don't necessarily want to invest in a home in that area. This gives them the opportunity to have that variety of housing style, that they can have a house, it's got a yard, they have the house living without actually having to purchase the home. This is not a product I'm personally familiar with, and if this is something that you're all right with in concept, we would obviously bring back the developer, much like we brought in Earl to explain the concept. But the idea behind it is we're trying to provide a variety of housings across Southfield so that we're not stepping on everybody's toes and trying to reach the broadest market we can so that everyone in Elkton has an opportunity to live in this part of the town.
So what we're proposing here is single-family detached. How many would you guess, Ryan?
About 100.
About 100. They would all be owned by the same company, just like the apartments are all owned by the same person. All the maintenance is done. It's a rental. You rent this, but everything is inclusive. All of the maintenance, everything is done, and it's all owned by one company. So one company is responsible for all 100 units, not 25 different owners. So what we would be, can you go back to the original, the green? What we would be asking to do is to bring this into the PUD. And there's a couple of benefits to that. One of the things that I haven't talked yet about is we're way short on funding for the infrastructure, as I've said to you guys multiple occasions. If we're able to bring this into the PUD, then we can expand the special tax district, and that would help us pay for some of the shortfalls that we have on our infrastructure. We've got about $5 million worth of off-site state highway improvements that need to be made. And they're going to be made, you know, as the sports complex comes online. We've got to do an intersection upgrade at 213 and Route 40. We've got to do off-site work on Whitehall Road. We've got to do all of 213 that follows the entire length of our property. We've got shoulder work, and all of our utilities are coming down there. We built a bigger water tower than was needed. We spent an extra $1.5 million on the water tower, which you all know. So the selfish benefit to us, obviously, is that if we can bring it into the PUD, it'll help with the special tax district. That's number one. Number two, we were approached, not vice versa. I think it's important to say this. We were approached by Chatham because they've been extremely successful in this market. You've probably heard this expression, build to rent. It's an asset class in the housing industry that has a lot of attention right now. They're very successful because, as Ryan said, not everybody wants to own their own home, but you have the ability to live in a single family detached home. They're going to be a little bit more expensive than the apartments, but I think it's a different renter. We've discussed this with the apartment developer. He's aware that we're having these conversations. They look at it as complementary, actually. And one of the things that I neglected to say is the front of that green section, the area that touches 213, and Ryan mentioned this, will obviously be retail. So the second reason we want to bring it into the PUD is it gives us flexibility with regards to how we design things, what the zoning is. Now, I think the current zoning allows the retail, correct?
We can do retail. I would say that the main benefit to the town from all of this is you basically go from the retail would most likely have been built no matter what. I think the big benefit to the town is this area right here that has almost no taxable assessment is going to be a taxable base of $25 million. You know, it's real money at that point for the town from a piece that's probably not going to get developed
It would have
unless
never
it
been
gets brought
developed.
into a.
What's the
So,
zoning on that?
well, that's really why this has to be brought into the PUD is the answer to your question, what you're getting to, which is this is zoned R2, so it really only allows larger lot singles. And as I mentioned earlier, given the environmental constraints, no one's going to do that. So given your PUD ordinance, a PUD has to be a certain size in order to be eligible to be a PUD. Bringing this into our PUD is the only way that this will ever become a PUD, which will allow us to use those, allow us to build that type of unit. Does that make sense?
What zoning do you need for this proposed?
We
unit?
don't need a zoning, we just need to bring it into our existing
Oh,
PUD.
okay, but R2 will take care of what you propose to build.
We have excess density built up in the rest of the PUD that the underlying zoning almost doesn't matter in this case, if it's brought into the PUD, is what I'm saying. The whole purpose of a PUD overlay is that it gives a flexibility of uses across the whole site to be intermingled amongst the site, regardless of the underlying zoning. That's the idea behind a PUD in general. So for instance, this wasn't zoned industrial, right? When it was integrated into the PUD. The PUD allowed the flexibility across
Right.
the entirety of the project, which is what would be allowed by bringing this into the PUD. Otherwise, it stays R2, which would only allow the single family detached on large lots, which is most likely not going to be economically feasible for anybody for the foreseeable future.
I think I was on the planning commission when that came in the 1980s.
Barry
Really?
Montgomery.
Yeah, it was Barry Montgomery. Yeah. Barry Montgomery owned that, and there was, he had a partner also.
Well, Bill Luther's his partner now.
Okay, I think that's who his partner was at the time also, but. And it can be built on, but I know that they were gonna lose quite a few other,
Yeah.
their
Well, they had
lots.
other issues too, to be candid with you. They had access issues and there were some other reasons why they were probably never gonna be able to build. We bought all the ground in front of it, which alleviated some of the access issues.
Okay,
And you really need to integrate it. You can't, as Ryan was saying, you can't develop that as a standalone. It'll
What kind
never
of
get to.
retail? are you-
Excuse me?
What kind of retail are you looking for?
Well, we've actually talked to a local, without saying too much, which is hard for me at times. We've talked to a local restaurateur who wants to build a freestanding, what I would call, how would I describe this?
An upscale, sit down,
An upstairs,
that would complement the sports complex. Right? It would be good for families. It would be okay to come in with kids in their uniforms, but also nice enough that we would all want to go there on a Tuesday.
Okay.
a family Italian restaurant that sells beer and wine. How's that?
That sounds good. Yeah.
That's
You
kind of,
already has it. Right?
I just did
If I was more charming, somewhere I could take a date on a Friday.
this. So
Is that the only retail that we're doing here?
no, so there would probably be 2 or 3 pads there.
Yeah.
So we've got some environmental issues that we're gonna work around. We probably have 7, 8 acres over there that can be developed. So that restaurant might take 2 or 3 with parking. We also had to move a park and ride. We have to physically move that park and ride.
Yeah.
So we're gonna integrate that into the development as well to try to minimize the ingress and the egress. And then we've been talking to Mike, to be candid with you, about some ancillary type, complementary type entertainment options over there. Miniature golf. The mayor has been talking to us about a bowling alley again. Probably some type of entertainment that would be, again, complementary to the people that are at the sports park at 6 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night. We feel that we can feed off of that. There's going to be a number of fast casual restaurants.
I was gonna say, you're gonna propose restaurants
Absolutely. That,
On
you're
the
gonna
other
start,
side.
you're gonna start seeing that shortly.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yep, you're gonna see the hotel come in shortly and the restaurants and all that.
Is it one hotel?
It's one hotel currently, but the lot is big enough for two. So we're planning to put two on that lot because we believe two are going to be needed. The first one they've committed to build at the same time we're building the sports complex, so that we will open the sports complex and the hotel on the same day, which is great for all of us, for scheduling, for having places to stay when the teams come in. So we think the second one's going to start pretty quickly after that.
And do you mind if I talk about the restaurant? So one of the things that Mike has worked out with the hotel operator is just a minimal food offering in the hotel. So the food offerings will probably be in standalone type buildings that are adjacent to the hotel and to the sports complex.
So if you've been at a Hilton Garden Inn, for instance, they have food there and they have a kitchen there, but it's not a standalone restaurant where they have a restaurateur coming. So that it will support the hotel, but it's not necessarily someplace anyone would want to go if they weren't staying at the hotel. And that's to complement the other standalone restaurants that Alliance and Ray wants to put.
Well, you know, one of the things that I feel that's important about pulling the parcels that are adjoining that area in is that one of the first things that we talked about, I can go back 8 or 10 years ago, that you have a hotel and it's going to be a branded hotel, which is going to be, my understanding, a Marriott.
We don't know yet. It's going to be a branded hotel, a flagship hotel for sure. We just don't know which brand. They do a study, which will probably start. It was going to start right after settlement in December, so it'll be right after we settle in March.
Okay. If you don't have control of the area around it, then you could have I'm going to say, quite frankly, another Hotel 6, and you can't control that. And then when you're, it doesn't fit.
That's right.
Do you want to expand on that conversation? We've had multiple conversations with the retailers that would probably be good tenants, but we don't think are the right tenants for Elkton, that there's too many of them already here. So we've already chosen not to accept some tenants here.
And same with hotel operators. We've had 3 hotel operators that had a brand that we didn't think complemented what we wanted. You know, the bigger hotel brands that have points, that have the ability for people to travel to other places that are like ours is really important to the brand of the sports complex. So we said no.
I would suggest that you write a letter to the mayor and commissioners about bringing that in.
Okay.
We'll take action one way or the other.
I do have one question. There's gonna be approximately 100 rental homes, is that correct?
Yeah,
Owned by
there's
one
not been
company.
extensive engineering, but yes, our back of the envelope, we think we can probably fit 100 single-family detached rental homes there.
And owned by one company, so we have one landlord.
Yes,
That's right.
But will it stay that way?
so you would actually partially be in control of the re-subdivision of that property if someone tried to do that at a future date. So like in Florida, there was, during the housing boom, there were a lot of apartments and people got the idea, oh, I'll go in, I'll subdivide it into condos and then sell it out. That's a very active process that the town would have to be a part of if someone wanted to do that at a future date. You would have veto power in essence.
Right. The homes would be single family, but the property would not be subdivided.
Right. It'd
So
be
it
one
wouldn't be
parcel,
parcels.
so no one
For instance,
person could buy
it would be
one
one parcel.
Any other questions?
So
Are we done? No, we're
you
not.
couldn't
No, we got
sell
it.
1 or 2 of the lots.
I understand.
All right, keep firing
Are we
away.
done?
I think I'm done. Do we
No,
need
you're
to
not.
talk about heirs and like?
I think we're okay.
Okay. So we have 2 other properties very quickly. I mentioned before, we closed on the heirs property, which is a 60-acre parcel. It's on 279 at Bell Hill Road. We're currently processing that for industrial. We paid $7 million. It's public record. It was on the tax rolls for $400,000. It's now in the tax rolls here in the town of Elkton for well north of that. So that is in process. Very thankful that that's moving forward. And then we're still working on the Vicon project, which is called Firecracker. That's the one that's adjacent to the Dwyer Superfund site. So we're still navigating through with the EPA. We're making great progress there. Again, full disclosure, I think that's on the tax rolls right now in the town of Elkton for $1 million. And when we're finished, that project will be an $80 million project. That is in the enterprise zone. The Ayers property is not in the enterprise zone. I have had conversations with both the Cecil County, Sandra Edwards, as well as the state with regards to the enterprise zone. The county is pushing to bring it back, in case you all are unaware of that. So they're very positive towards that. The state has still hadn't made any determination, but we're lobbying with Cecil County jointly with regards to that. So both of those projects, Ryan has been working diligently on with staff on, and hopefully they're getting some momentum here. All right.
And Gene asked about the RV park.
Oh, so the RV park, my apologies. The RV park is all part of that KCI study. So KCI has completed a study and says, we think you can do this, we think you can do this, we think you can do this. If you want to try to do this, this is what you have to do. They basically, and they've given you guys a report. They've absolutely green lighted the RV park. They
On their
said,
end, right?
they're saying from an engineering standpoint, it's doable.
So, but is one contingent upon the other?
I don't think so. No. And that's, again, the direction that we need from,
How do, for the RV park, how do you access it?
we don't know yet. We need KCI to tell us. One, obviously, they could go down Frenchtown Road is an option. Another option potentially is to go through South Fields. But we need to get the environmental data back because
Oh, absolutely.
there's a
But-
dry stream there.
Yeah, I personally, I'm struggling
Mhm.
with the thought of it being gone down the boulevard through, through that development with the single family homes.
I will say this to you,
So-
the initial feedback that we've gotten from KCI has been Frenchtown Road. But it's not definitive. There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, I would imagine because of the possible difficulty in access
The
to
other thing
the
I would
property,
say,
right?
you know, we've talked about it because we may need to redo our maintenance area a little bit for our sports complex if we were to go down that boulevard. The one thing I would say is that boulevard, it would be good to, as more of it is developed, to get eyes on it so you can see what it looks like in comparison. You know, when looking down on the piece of paper just does not give perspective on this, and it's hard. I don't disagree with you, but I think we gotta really get eyes on it to see what it means, you know?
There's a potential to turn off before the single family homes. Is the short answer.
But we
That
don't
would
know.
be-
We don't know.
We don't know.
But there is a
That would be
potential.
interesting to see
Yeah.
how that could happen.
And we've had conversations with the county. We've already started the
About
conversation.
Frenchtown.
I want to be proactive. I want to have
Yeah.
conversations
That's
with
a
them.
tough,
The
that's a
one,
tough road.
not to put too much urgency on it, but the one time-sensitive issue with the memorandum of agreement is that one of the environmental factors that needs to be studied, not to get too technical, but involves forest dwelling birds, and you can only do the study a certain time of year. And that study needs to start in the next 2 months.
Wow.
So if it doesn't happen and we miss the window, which is only about, I think, a month or two, then we're gonna lose a whole nother year. So I would encourage the town to take a look at the memorandum of understanding, and give some feedback if there's anything they'd like changed.
Very good.
Are we
Thank
done? I'm not done. You know, I'm never done. The only thing is, in all these conversations we've had about all the lots, there's 2 references made to D.R. Horton, single-family homes that are going off the boulevard as being starter homes, and that they plan on building more upscale, single-family homes. And I don't know, I wasn't expecting to hear that. What are they planning? What type of single-family homes are they planning to build now off the boulevard?
So you mean on the south fields, what we consider the
Yeah,
south,
I
the
mean,
west
this is
side?
the main
Do you have any
draw
of your
to
own?
me.
You were at the
I
meeting,
mean,
Gene.
huh?
Yeah, it was up there.
You were at the meeting.
I'll tell you, I had a conversation with
Right, Jay
developer
Hyman.
afterwards, because I was concerned,
Yeah.
because they came in with a booklet of like 20 homes
Mhm.
that went from, very low to very high,
Mhm.
with no commitment whatsoever
Gotcha.
to what was actually going to be built. It was all, according to the market and whatever. And if we have the potential for upscale single-family homes somewhere else, what do they, I'm starting to be concerned about what they're planning on building there. And I wanted it, in my mind, it should look beautiful going in the boulevard next to the sports complex. I mean, nice homes.
Mhm. Do you have any of their, we're gonna try to find some real quick that we,
I mean,
you know.
at the planning commission, I mean, I know it was broad and they couldn't commit to numbers for obvious reasons,
Mhm.
in a public meeting or whatever. I wasn't asking them the cost, I was asking for what type of homes are you gonna buy and what price range are they supposed to be in? I would have taken a broad range, but I'm starting to hear little things that are making me worry about what we're gonna get. And I gotta be honest with you, maybe I shouldn't say this.
Mhm.
I'm not happy with the apartments. I wasn't.
Mhm.
They're not so attractive.
I'm glad you said that, because I've heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so I think that we probably should bring Horton in here. They'll definitely come in here, and I'll get them to show you what, so.
What they're actually gonna plan rather than a book.
So I'll say to the president of the Delaware office who's building these houses, show me what the first 15 of them look like. I'll get that for you. I'll get it this week.
So
Yeah,
you actually got in that meeting a commitment from them that that's a part of the permit package. So I don't know if you remember any of this, but
No.
the whole negotiation went back and forth. And what was decided on is that when they come in for their permit package, they're going to put down a map showing all of the houses that they're coming in for permits and which housing type is going on each of the individual lots. And yeah,
They can put down anything, but does that answer what the original concept was?
so that's what that hearing was about that you were
I
in.
know, I'm just
So if
voicing
you
my
approved it,
opinion
then I guess yes.
about,
is
I'm
the-
concerned about what type of single-family homes they've got lined up to go.
Mhm.
Right,
Because originally, the apartments were gonna be luxury apartments, and now they're affordable apartments,
Mm.
in my opinion.
well, in all fairness, they have granite countertops and, I mean, they do.
It's just my, well,
So I
it's
think,
just my opinion.
I know, and I think that right now, it's hard to visualize, because they're in a big field with nothing else around them. And there's no landscaping, the clubhouse isn't built.
I'm looking forward to
Me
that.
too, believe me.
I really am.
All of a
And-
I was hoping that they had a little bit more architecture design to
Mhm.
them. I keep hoping that I see that go up, but
The other thing I would encourage is to go out and get a tour of it, because AMS loves to take people through it.
Yes.
You should,
the ones that are finished.
the ones that they're working on right now.
Oh.
and-
You'll be
and go
shocked
through them.
inside.
I think you'd be very impressed with the inside of them if you went and looked at them, and it does help quite a
Well,
bit.
I probably should do
I
that,
think that, because it
other
helped,
than make the comment.
it helped
that-
me, you know.
I hear you,
Right.
and,
Yeah, I know what Jean's saying. She's talking
Yeah.
about the visual from the road.
yeah, sure, and the visual from the
You
road
can't
right
see the
now.
granite countertops.
No.
You're right.
You see what it looks like
You're right, and the visual
For
from
now.
the
Yeah, for
visual
now.
from the
That's
road
right.
today is
I
not a
understand.
great one. I'm the first to acknowledge that. And believe me when I tell you, we've been having these conversations with it. And I think what'll happen in the next couple of months, as you continue to see things being built, you might change your perspective on it. That's what I'm hopeful
I
of.
hope so.
But I would also encourage you, I'll reach out to you if you'd like, and we can go through them. I was hoping that the MML tour was gonna accommodate that, but that's okay. I'll reach out to the group and we'll schedule a tour and whomever's available. But you're right, the perception today and the way it looks today is not great. And we need to address that.
It's all pretty raw still.
It's
It's-
very raw.
You know, it's funny because I wish I had I just spent $250,000 on a monument sign that's going up in Southfield. You guys are gonna have a reader board on it. You're gonna control the reader board. You know, well, I know, but these are things that are gonna add to the visual. Ryan and I were talking about what's gonna go on the inside of the circle, the traffic circle. What was approved is stamped concrete. I don't wanna do that. We're gonna put maybe a 40-foot flag. We're gonna come in and talk to you guys again. We're talking about maybe doing a 40-foot flagpole with commemorative sports things around it. Things that you've been talking to me about this since we started this. These are the things that have to, that happen.
I just want to state for the record, my idea was statues of all of the commissioners,
There you
but that got voted down. I'm really sorry, guys.
Elkmore.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore of Elkton, but
But it's a perfect place for some type of sports oriented. Real quick aside, we're doing a memorial park to the Negro League baseball players down in Baltimore. Our company is. We're building a 14-acre park down there. You know what we're gonna do? Once a year, we're gonna have a committee that's gonna elect a new Hall of Fame member. And we're gonna memorialize that with a statue all through the park. These are the things that are, you don't put that in a pattern book. You gotta think about these things. It happens over time. But I will tell you, the community embraced it. Baltimore City Rec and Parks embraced it. The Baltimore Orioles are gonna participate with us. We wanna do the same thing with the park here. And you gotta start the process. I think that's where some of the frustration lies. That we're building bike trails in Baltimore City now. We started that job in 2022. You know, so why, and that's all on the water. That's all in the critical area. So we gotta work through these processes. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work together as a team. You're spot on about the visual right now. It's bad. I think it's gonna get better. We are conscious about it and we're making an effort to make it better. I think your point that it's the very beginning, the retail itself will make it look different. The landscaping will. You know, we got stumps that are sitting out there still that really need to be removed. Things like that. There's a lot of stuff that still needs to happen.
Just to add to the D.R. Horton thing, Patriots Glen has 2 levels of homes in there as well. And you almost can't tell the difference going in from one area to the next. But if you know people that are in there and you go back there, you can tell the homes that are, if you're really paying attention. When you drive through, you don't even think about it. And I think that's very similar to what we're talking about with D.R. Horton, where the product is different, the offerings are different. But when you're driving by them, you probably didn't remember that necessarily, you know. But they're 2 distinct products, and there's a big price difference inside that development.
Well, the last thing I would just say is one thing that made me less concerned was the project that D.R. Horton is building in Elkton now. It's only 10 minutes from here, so if you want to take a drive there, it's called Barksdale Crossing. I was told by the project manager that it's the same product line that they
It
plan
is?
to offer.
Well,
So-
that's good to know.
So I would drive through there, I would take a look and see if you feel a little more comfort level.
Where's that?
It's north of 95. I don't believe it's in the municipal boundaries, but it is a Elkton postal code.
Barstow Road, right? Oh, Barstow Road.
I would guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
But maybe
developers
we-
aren't very
Maybe we
creative.
can go see that the same day we go over to the Gray Star Apartments. We
That's a
can
good idea.
tour both of them and have the DR Horton people meet us there.
I'm just curious
Yeah.
what they are actually planning, because when you say, well, D.R. Horton's gonna come build upscale, single-family homes, I'm like, I thought they already were.
Well,
Is what is
Yeah.
my only
Yeah.
point.
So that's Barksdale Crossings model right there. But again, the reason that you're getting non-committal answers from them is they respond to market, just like everyone else does.
Sure they
I
do.
guarantee you, if they sell their first 3 at 500,000 like they are at Barksdale Crossing right now, those houses are gonna look really, really nice.
Mhm.
and
And
then, but then the next problem that I'm gonna have is I'm gonna sit here and people are gonna ask me where the $350,000.
yeah, where's the affordable housing?
I know, but we have, it's a
They're in the
blend.
apartments,
It's a blend. We have to
Yeah.
work together. This is all part of this process.
yes.
It's a process. And we have to have this dialogue.
Yes,
Any other questions?
now I'm done.
Anything down here?
No, I'm good.
So letter regarding the PUD
Letter regarding the PUD.
and go ahead and start the entitlement process for D1,
D1 being the,
Warren
yes,
Communities.
And the MOA.
And then you
the
all,
MOA, we're gonna have a meeting with Gene or Quinn and you and I and the fellow from KCI, and we gotta get that scheduled very quickly.
great. Thank you all.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mike, thank you.
Hey, my pleasure. Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, we have a discussion on the Elkton Alliance waiver of alcohol for the downtown events. And I think there was a suggestion that we just do this administratively instead of voting on each and every one of these. And there's a list in front of everyone, I think, in their packet of all the Alliance events. From here on out, if you guys are okay with it, we'll just let the administrator approve these. You good with that?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good with that, under about, because the administrator still gonna
Yes,
be able to
yes.
do it.
Yes,
But you don't want somebody to counter or what have you coming up to you like, you know,
We could also actually just give you the presentation at the beginning of each year. You'll have the list of all of the events. And then we can, yes, please, and then we can just go ahead and issue those permits, but you'll still have all of the.
well, we can vote on this list right now.
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, very good. So we have a list in front of us dating from February 7th all the way down to December 12th. It's a list of 5, 10, 15, about 22, 23 events. These are the requests. They're the same requests that we always do. So there it is, St. Patrick's Day, First Friday, Cinco de Mayo, car cruise, Memorial Day, jump into Friday, First Friday, Fall Fest, Alumni Night, Halloween parades, the turkey trot car crawl, the Christmas tree lighting, and the cookie event. We have a motion to approve all these
I
waivers.
so move.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on them? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So
All right.
Michelle, you got the motion? You want to feed that back to us?
Yes. You ready?
Yes. It only takes you a second.
So Mayor asked if the board would accept just administratively approving the 2025 list of Elkton Alliance waiver of alcohol prohibition requests. And he named them from February 7th through December 12th. And Commissioner Gibbons made a motion to accept that, and Commissioner Mastriano seconded.
That's it.
Very good. Thank you. I don't believe, I know Lewis is on here, but I don't think there's any reports for the administration side.
No, the only comment I wanted to make was that they have the PRV installed on Whitehall Road, and I sent an email and some pictures of it today to the board for your information. But that's we'll be closing that contract probably within another week or so.
Very good. That's wonderful. It's they did a nice clean job there on that project. Earl's not too happy. It's got him blocked out of his house.
No, everything's been working fine with me. They know I'm coming in and out 20 times a day, but everything's been smooth. Some people not too happy with having to go one lane, but they're doing a good job out there.
Good.
Fooled you that time, didn't I?
Yeah, it did. All right. Anything else, Lou?
That's it, sir.
All right. The only thing I have to report, of course, I mentioned about the Maryland Municipal League coming in on Monday. We're still 2 people down on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I do have one in front of me that I'd like to recommend for the board to approve tonight for the Board of Appeals. I'd like to bring on Grayson Winstead. He lives at 500 North Street in Elkton, Maryland, to come on board on the Board of Appeals. His term would run from February 5th, 2025 through January 31st, 2028. We have a motion to accept Grayson Winstead.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on Grayson?
Yes, there is, not particularly on him, but I think at one time we had looked at the fact that it was difficult to find people to be on the boards. And we discussed it, but not in its entirety, that you always look for somebody to be in the town of Elkton. I can agree with that. But if you have something and you have somebody living nearby or what have you, they're a Maryland resident, you ever think of what benefit it can bring? I mean, they're on the outside, they just giving you their point after discussion, but maybe you need to look at that moving forward.
Well, we may have to. It seems like we've got enough people that live in the town you would think would have interest, but it's very
But they
difficult to
don't.
find interested people.
Because I mean, I got people in my church ask that same question, what do you have to do to be on the board? Obviously, I said you have to live here, which some of them live a few miles out, but it benefit us moving forward.
I think the
Find a
only
way.
currently 2 boards that you don't need to live in town is the Historic Committee Board and also the Planning Board. I think are the 2 that you don't need to live in the town of Elkton on. I may be wrong on the Historic Board, but
No, you're correct. I think you can have one person.
Yeah.
From outside of town.
so on the Board of Appeals and the Planning Board, those are 2 that we've always had residents of the town participate in.
Anyway, a thought for the future.
It is a great goal. So we had a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I don't have anything else to report. Jean, you have anything this evening?
No, thank you.
Charles?
Jean was very talkative a few minutes ago. She's burnt out right now. She can start setting up for the next meeting. No, the only thing I want to report or to bring to your attention is the fact that our officers are down, or most of you are aware of that. And, you know, forever and a day we were down, and then, you know, you work so hard and you get the complimentary amount that you have, and now you start to lose them. And you have to figure out, how am I going to get them back, or what do we have to do to maintain them? Well, if the county is offering their officers additional money, and you go a few miles to Newark, and they're offering the same type of money that the county is offering, basically it's gonna be tough. Because one of the officers, as you all, if you read the letter, he wrote a letter, and he stated how great he enjoyed being an officer in the town of Elkton. And he saw no problem with the chief, no problem working with whatever, but that dollar bill makes a difference when you have a family. But so I'm just bringing it out to you now, so if this problem ever crops up, we got some answers to find or something to do.
Chief, we might want to do an analysis.
I've already asked, FOP to get with the, neighboring FOPs and get, so we can get the actual numbers and then what they're putting in for in their July budget as well, because sometimes if we get it now, we don't know what they're putting in for. But I want to be able to give you all of that number. I expect that I'm gonna have to put something in as a budget request this year for the next budget.
And I'd also like to see the, you know, from the healthcare perspective and the pension perspective also. And, you know, sometimes we don't count on that part. You only look at the dollar at the front. But listen, maybe if it, I know the ones that are here wouldn't want to see a cut in any of that. But maybe the newer officers that are coming in, maybe there's less of that side and more on this side. I don't know. I don't know if that's
I can
possible.
tell you the officers, I believe would be willing to contribute more to the pension. at this point, in order to see a pay increase.
Good.
So, maybe
That's
increase that percentage. I don't know, do you have to open up the entire contract for that? I just don't know. But I know that, so Dennis Lasasa, who's the one who left us, he was the vice president, but Tom Salisbury is the president of the FOP. If you want to have sit down and talk about that, I'm sure that
Yeah, I think
he'd
we
be
should.
willing to do that. I would love to be able to. Well, I have actually met with Andy Rodriguez, I believe last week, to just kind of talk about this and spitball some ideas, like what do we need to do and how we're going to do it. We're even talking about putting out some kind of anonymous stay interview instead of an exit interview, just to see how many people have really thought about leaving, because I know in a lot of leadership classes out there too, they say that most people, they actually think about leaving probably 6 months before they even do anything about it. And so I'd like to know, like, what are their thoughts? Because, and specifically with Lasasa leaving, I think it's really brought up a big point with the officers, because here you have a 13-year sergeant,
Right.
who found it more beneficial for his
Yeah.
family to leave. And so, and he had a great position, right? He loved his position in street crime unit, which is, one of the coveted positions over there, coveted unit. So for somebody like that to make that move, it really is impactful. It's not just somebody saying, oh, I'm getting out of law enforcement, or, I'm moving away or something. So I appreciate you bringing it up and even thinking about it and talking about it, but it is a high priority for us. at this
Yeah, it's
point.
important. I mean, we
Something
got
like
on
that.
board a couple of years ago. I thought we were where we were supposed to be, and
And
we
we
had fallen behind somehow.
It's crazy, but after that, I guess a lot of people have jumped up to, our starting salary right now is 53,000. And I could tell you Northeast PD is 60, and we're looking at a 10% in July.
What do we have?
I
Right.
don't know. I don't know.
Well, listen,
Yeah,
you'll give
we'll
us the
talk about
information.
it. Yeah, we'll talk. If
We're
you'd
doing
like,
the
I'll
right
try
thing,
and schedule
discussing it.
something.
They don't have as large a force as we do.
Well, they don't, but I can tell you, and Louis, I know, had commented about that, the North PD, and he's absolutely right. I don't think we can realistically compete with the money that they're giving out over there.
wish we
They're- I know, but their income base is just, or their resources just, extensive. But comparatively, they're offering us $95,000 to start with a $25,000 signing bonus. And what his kicker, because he turned it down originally, his kicker was the health benefits after retirement.
That's what did it.
That was the final one, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting to know. Because how's our pension compared to theirs, I don't know.
I'm not sure about their pension. I know they have one, and I know that they're gonna allow him to buy in the time into theirs.
Oh,
so
wow.
He can use our time to do that. Those are some things that I want us to look at in the future, being able to allow people to buy in their times and things like that, and seeing what that looks like. But that's gonna have to open up the whole labor code.
Mhm.
Yeah. But we will have to do that. I agree, we will.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Earl?
Yeah, I thought I'd start 2025 off with a bang, but I guess not. I'm just gonna talk about some of my thoughts that I would like to concentrate on this year. And we was one time, town of Elkton was the county seat, at least that's what we was told, but it doesn't seem like that because I attended the Cecil night at Annapolis. I attended the Cecil breakfast in Chesapeake, and I listened to our county executive talk about our county. Everything was talked about except the town of Elkton. And it kind of touched me to try to focus on. I'm glad Southfield left because I was trying to focus on our big project, which they're our big project. And we should really be modeling them as what we have. Like they talked about the Wolf Lodge, they talked about the Wellwood, they talked about all these different places from Northeast on down. Again, and I've got a passion for that because I've been here all my life. But I would like to see if the town of Elkton can get a meeting with the county executive, the county commissioners, and sit down at least once or twice a year and talk about some of the projects. And when he or she talks about the county, I'd like to be involved, as far as not to be involved. Be recognized as the town of Elkton, what's going on in town of Elkton. We talked about some of the restaurants, and I'm not gonna say names, but some restaurants not even open but 2 times a week. But then I looked at Southfield with all the stuff that they're bringing, and again, I'm not grandstanding for them. They talked about restaurants, and it kind of hurt me because the one's been over Patriots Glen, they got good food over there, and I've eaten there 4 or 5 times a week. And again, I'm not grandstanding for them. It's just this, I have a passion for trying to highlight Elkton. And I would like to have the county executive, the county and the town meet and start talking about some of our projects instead of just hearing everything. I heard about Bride and Son, heard about the Lieutenant General. She spoke about everything, Bride and Son on down. Again, I felt like just walking out of the room, put my coat on, just going home. But anyway, again, I would like to at least talk to the county executive, make sure, has he been aware of this project? Do you know that's doing? And that's something that should have been mentioned, some of the things. But anyway,
Michelle, I'll add to that. Can you get with the county executive or their office and try to schedule something maybe in March or April? And we could do it at the Elk Room over there, and whoever wants to come from the from town staff and the board,
I'd like to go.
we'll go over to the Elk Room and we'll give them an update. And we'll put it in their ears. And that's, you know, we didn't have any of that communication during the last 4 years of the previous administration. So I would say, but they don't know, they don't know.
How about their economic development?
well,
It's Sandra Edwards now.
Oh, it is.
and I was focusing on this MML meeting that we're supposed to be having. And I was hoping that was gonna be a time, just like Ray said, that they were gonna highlight that, and not to put down Elkton lines. I was hoping that conversation was brought from Elkton lines to Sandy and whoever, but apparently that, I don't know whether it happened or not, but it sure didn't show down in Annapolis. So anyway, now go on to phase 2 for me. My brother had a nice article that anybody read the season way on the Black Color School. And I had a sneak preview of the film, so I know it's a good film. I would like to invite everyone to come February the 20th at Elkton High School. And if you can get to, we focus on what that building's going to be, how it came to be. He really done a good job getting the details, him and Ray Jefferson.
What time?
And I think it's at 6, let me get this right. It's from 6 p.m. to 8.
6 to 8 on the 20th of
And the
February.
February the 22nd is going to be
Why does that ring a bell?
2:30
You
to
say the
4.
22nd?
No, the 20th, February 20th, at the Elkton High School,
At what time? 6?
6.
But if you're, excuse me, if you're reading that from the most recent Cecil Wig, I just called your brother earlier today, and they had the wrong dates and times in there.
Oh, they have in here.
But he said I know that, but I'm saying that's gonna be a corrected copy there.
Okay, so well, anyway, if you go to February 20th at Elkton High School, and then these other dates, I guess you can get them after that, but I think it'd be a nice thing to see, and you'll see where our dollars are going as far as making that school into a museum. And I was really impressed, so I just want to invite everybody to that. And I think I'm done.
Robert?
I don't have much, but I would like to say that with the unfortunate loss of our Kyoku Japanese restaurant, we have quickly had that space filled with an Indian restaurant. And I've seen guys going in and out with cooking, you know, like stoves and stuff. They're actively putting the place together. I don't think it'll be long. And I'm pleased to see all the work going on with the pedestrian bridge at Meadow Park. That's quite a project, much bigger than I thought it was going to be. But it's going to be nice and sturdy. Lastly, I have seen a lot of work at Mini Haynes, in case anybody's wondering. They are working on the roof, although part of it blew off the other day. It was just paper, no harm done. So they're in there working, and the apartments are in there working. I don't know, do we have any timeline on when the fence may be removed?
Yeah, actually, I spoke to him today. And I spoke to Chip. They got the green light to take the fence down. Dan, I think, has contacted the fence company, and it takes.
It'll be next week.
It'll be sometime next week.
Excellent,
So they're gonna come pick it up, but it's clear.
very good.
Oh,
And that's
Secured,
all
the
I-
building's secured.
that's all I have.
Very good. Well, this is,
One other thing.
yes, sir.
Michelle, did you contact Rachel Wright at the Elkton Library?
Yeah, she's coming in on March. I beg your pardon, I think she's going to come in on the March workshop. Yes, I told her that. the board
Anyhow, for your
meeting.
consideration, gentlemen and ladies and the audience, Rachel Wright is now the librarian at the Elkton Library. The other lady was graciously appointed to a high position, can't think of her name. But anyhow, they had a meeting the last 3 days and they are going to redo the Elkton Library. And, you know, they're going to come in and tell us about what's going on. They had quite a few people there. The architect was there. There was a lot of good reasons given what they could do or could not do. I think one of the main things was that they felt as though to go higher, but they don't have the space. But they also felt that the town of Elkton should be in a position, I know you mentioned the county seat, should be in a position where even in the new library, there should be information about the Elkton municipal government. Also Elkton being the county seat and just documents there that would fit well in the new library. So she'd come in and give you that information.
And it's actually March 19th.
March,
coming on March.
oh, okay,
That's great.
very good.
Anything else from the board?
That's it for me.
This is the time we open up the floor. Tom, you had something this evening? State your name and address. Glad to see you, as I said earlier. Maybe after you read your list, we might not be.
Might not be.
That's okay.
Is this on?
Yeah, you're on.
My name's Tom Helfrich, and I live at 114 Hearthstone Drive, right next to Clear. Well, I call him Mr. Piner, my neighbor. But anyway, I've got a couple issues, and me getting a little more long in the tooth or short in the tooth, however you want to say it, in age. I lived here in Elkton a long time now. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. And I worked for Christ for 34 years, worked in plants all over the world. And we settled in Elkton. And raised my family here. Most of them were pretty much grown by then, but I take pride in Elkton. You guys hit on a lot of things here, and I'm gonna hit on a little bit, and I'm not gonna take a whole lot of time. But I'm really hard on some people in this room, and they know who they are, about parking and about the way some of the neighborhoods look. I've addressed that. I took that on as one of my personal projects. I hate going down the street and seeing, pardon my language, crap in the front yard, in the backyard, and nobody cares. Those people who I made aware of that did do some things. People right back in it again. There are some places in coming right off of Whitehall onto Hearthstone, somebody's gonna get killed. And we need to address that. Those issues are public safety, and I'm one of them. And I'm just tired of it. Something needs to be done, and I'll give
Is there
those
cars parked?
Yeah.
cars parked. You can't, when you come off of Whitehall, I guess I'll tell the street.
Yeah.
Come off of Whitehall, where the 7-Eleven is, turn into Hearthstone. There was an issue there with the bush. They responded immediately to get that bush sawed down, so you can
Okay.
see the road, see the street, and meet oncoming traffic. Well, anybody coming off of Whitehall turning into Hearthstone Drive, you can't do it because there's 5, 6 cars parked on the right
Okay.
side of the street. And I don't know why anybody has 6, 7 cars. I don't understand that. If you got a driveway, put it in the driveway.
Mhm.
Put it in your garage, for heaven's sakes. If you got a bunch of grandkids, tell them, you got to go home.
Do these folks have driveways and garages?
Absolutely.
Are they parked illegally on the street?
In my opinion, no. They're parked about 20 feet from the stop sign. How you gonna go down a two-way street and you can only have one lane?
Right.
It's dangerous. This is not the only one. This is a pretty dangerous one. Whitehall, people come off Whitehall Road 40 miles an hour and turn into that neighborhood. It's dangerous. You got nowhere to go. The other day I had a close call. I had to slam the brakes on because here comes a fool and cars parked on the side of the streets. This needs to be addressed, just not my neighborhood, throughout Elkton.
You familiar with it, Earl?
Earl's been made aware of that, and Earl, I did
Can
know the
you-
people about it.
If the curb was painted yellow to keep them from
Curb was
parking
painted
there.
yellow because of the fire hydrants.
No, I mean, would it work?
The curb was painted yellow,
It
yes,
was?
perhaps, let me,
Okay.
real quick. The fire hydrants are there, they would park in front of the fire hydrants, well, they painted. Dan's people did a great job, they painted them right away. Okay? House next to me, there's a fire hydrant. So they came out and parked, or painted right in front of the fire hydrant. Now the people park that far from the yellow line. Instead of parking in front of the fire hydrant, on occasions, they park in front of the fire hydrant. Not just my house. Nobody addresses it. I did talk to the chief, and I thought she did a great job. We had a great meeting. Did a great job. Her people did what they were supposed to do. Now, here we go again. But anyway, I'm gonna get down to Main Street. And if somebody, if I step on your toes, so be it. That's how I am. I'm not afraid to say what I feel. When I come into Elkton on all of the little byways and highways that come into Elkton, it's a disgrace. You go down Main Street, next to your place. You come up that Main Street, there's the Hard Hotel, and you did talk about taking the fence down. That looked awful. What, 2 years? Looks awful. And you go up the street, Bings is coming in, and I think someone you mentioned else is coming in next to you down there in some business or something.
Yeah, there's an Indian restaurant.
Right. Well, I wasn't aware of the Indian, but whatever. You go up the street, and here's one that's near and dear to my heart, and I don't think the mayor's longer associated with it. Cafe or restaurant, the bar. You got the outdoor seating. We had COVID, the pandemic is over. Why is it still there? I did a survey last year.
I can answer that.
Why?
Because while that happened during COVID, what we discovered was that it brought a lot of life to the town. You come down Main Street prior to that, and it was just
I'll
straight
interrupt you right
brick
there.
front.
I
Hold
wanna
on now,
interrupt
hold
you.
on. You asked the
Okay,
question
go
and
ahead.
try to answer it.
Okay.
So it brought a lot of life to the town. You go down through Northeast and, you know, all we've ever heard is, why can't we be like Northeast? There's a small piece of it. Because when you go down through that town, there's people eating outside, there's people walking around. That's what makes it attractive. Now, we're getting a piece of that, so we wanted to keep it. And the overall consensus was that people loved it. I love it.
Now, I disagree with you. I did a survey. I go through Elkton probably at least once a day. At nighttime, maybe once or twice a week. 20 people from May 30th through September were outside sitting. Now, how can you justify 20 people in 4 months, 3 to 4 months, sitting outside when that place has been hit by cars and had to be replaced, the galvanized sheeting around it has been hit. I came by there the other day. Here's a lady stopped right in front of the bar, elderly lady, went to the doctor, got all the traffic backed up. What's going on? You got 6 to 7 parking spaces there. I think you would make more money by getting rid of that and utilizing those parking places. Now you got Bing's, you got the Chinese restaurant. Where are they gonna park? Take that away. I have people come in from Delaware, from Missouri, and I'm proud. I said, this is Elkton. They said, well, what do you got? And you're right in what you're saying. We have nothing on Main Street. There's no, the restaurant closes what time? I don't know, sometimes 8 o'clock. I was at the music theater the other night, which I go on occasion now. I enjoy it. I like the music. I saw the Doors. I saw the Eagles just a few weeks ago. So we want to get something to eat.
Are you aware that Legends is going to be open late? They're new, they just took on.
I know,
the sport.
I see them working in there.
And they're gonna be open till midnight.
Yeah, well, that's not now. I'm talking about what's in the past. In the future, yes, I hope they do. There was nothing open. You know what we had to go? My daughter came in to see us. We had to go to Taco Bell. Taco Bell.
Very soon you'll be able to go to Legends.
Well, I don't know what they got. I like good food, but we had to go get something to eat. My point is, why do we need that there?
We're only
I don't
giving
think
up
it
a few parking
justifies-
spots.
it-
We're only giving up, how many parking spots are we giving up there?
Four,
Four, I think.
it could be 6.
Yes,
But I would say, I think it's 4. Now, it's gonna, when that fencing comes down, it will make a world of difference. Because that's taken up probably 7 or 8 spots.
Yep.
Around the Mini Haynes building, no question about that.
yeah, correct. I mean, there was nowhere to park.
But
But
I-
I had to park at the bank.
But listen, there's no one gets more frustrated than me that when on a Monday night, there for a long time, if there was an event going on Monday night, there's nothing open in Elkton.
Nope.
It's true. Not to support anything down there.
I mean, you know, I like for that. You can talk all you want about Northeast. I know all about Northeast. I've spent a lot of time there. But I want Elkton to be clean. Main Street ought to be you're talking about building all this stuff? What are you building new in Elkton? Elkton. That's my point. You got all these old buildings, the courthouse takes care of all that parking during the daytime. The police got their cars out there, the sheriff or whoever. Northeast, Rising Sun, going to the courthouse. People have it all tied up. You can't go nowhere. You can't park. That's why I'm saying there's 5. I'm sure there's 6 because I went out and measured. I'll give you 5. But
And I would also say there's probably 200 parking spots right behind on Howard Street, but no one wants to use
yeah,
those.
but here's the point, Mr. Mayor. This lady, and it happens all the time. There's a doctor's office there or whatever they are, some perhaps whatever they call it. She was handicapped. She had nowhere to go. They had to let her out, carry her across the street. And that's not the only place. Down below you, you got Dr. Mulvey, been there for years. Used to be my doctor. But where do you park? You can't park. But I think it just, and here's the delivery trucks. You can't go nowhere. You better back up or wait till he unloads his truck. All this stuff is blocking. Something needs to be done with that, okay? And I really think it's hideous looking, and I'm not the only one.
Understand.
My daughter says, my God, this should look nice. It really should. It doesn't look good. And justify 20 people?
You're talking about the outside seating looking?
Yes, you
Looking
can.
bad?
Yes, it looks bad.
Matter of opinion. A lot
Well,
of people love it.
I don't like it. But anyway, I'm not the only one. And I don't, you got your opinion, I got mine. Of course, there's some people in this room don't like it either.
But I've been on Main Street for 39 years. I'm the oldest business on that Main Street right
And
now.
I'm lucky.
And I've
lucky
seen
you're
the
there.
highs and the lows, and I'm telling you, people love it.
How many people you talk to love it?
A lot. I can't give you a number. I talk to people all the time.
I do too. So me and you can argue about that. And I'm not arguing with you. Hey, look, you got a job to do. And I just don't, I'm expressing my opinion as a
It's
citizen.
fine. I just don't like to be attacked.
You're not
on
being
Main
attacked.
Street.
But Main Street is the main hub. That's what we look at when we come to Elkton.
We're looking good down there.
Well, that's your opinion too, and I really, you can share your opinion, I don't have any problem with that. But it's something that needs to be addressed. Whose idea was to put it in?
That was during COVID, never
Yes.
asked.
The pandemic is over,
I hear you loud and clear.
so is somebody gonna look at that?
We've, our business community down there, which is our, Chamber of Commerce, our Elkton Alliance has requested that it stays, and that's where we're at.
We were all in full support of it.
Well, it probably was nice for COVID. You know, it's just, it's just, to me, it looks awful. It's run down. You wanna modernize it, paint it, do something.
And it could use some, doctoring up.
Yes, it could.
You know, there's areas on that facade down there, it's broken and chipped from cars bumping into it. I agree 100% with you there.
Here comes spring, I think,
It
the
needs a
Alliance
facelift.
Could use a facelift.
It
They
could use
can
a
address
facelift.
that.
But, you know, also we always talked about parking. You're right, you can't park nowhere on Main Street. You know, it's hard to go to your place.
I gotta disagree. I can always find a parking spot.
You know
My
where to go.
customers always find
I
parking.
see where you park. I see you every now and
I
then.
park in the metered parking lot.
Yeah, but I see you. I see where a lot
There's
of.
plenty of
people
parking, that's where I park.
Well,
If there's none there, I go out back. There's a lot of parking.
yeah, there's down back, but the old folks like me, I'm 77 years old. I'm not gonna walk 200 feet or 200 yards because I wanna go in and have a beer.
I understand, but if you're patient and you circle that block once or twice, you're gonna get a spot.
Yeah. What day? Don't tell me when the court's in session.
Tom, thank you so much
I
for
appreciate
bringing
it.
them up.
I just want you to take a look at that.
We will,
Re-look at it.
absolutely.
Thank you.
you.
I'm not, hey, we're okay. I'm not mad at you.
Well, I'm not mad at you.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything? Yes, sir, come on down.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Angela, Jack, somebody use the address of 100 Railroad Avenue, make time a little quicker, I'm not gonna hold you up very long. Appreciate it, Mr. Pine, you actually, I'm gonna honest with you, gave me a segue into the problem that I'm gonna bring up. Part of my new job is bringing, problems to the light so people can kind of handle it, and the issue, can I, give you
Yes,
some, we have some photos of the issue that I'm talking about. It's the foot traffic on Whitehall from Bridgewell Parkway to the school. Granted, not Elkton's problem, but it's the folks walking in there that are town residents that, they're the ones I'm worried about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Officer Highland was taking up a position to do the crossing guard detail, and he took some pictures during the snow. If you look at the pictures, and I'm gonna talk real fast, so I'll hold you up any later.
They're good.
The snow and everything else causes the kids and the parents to walk closer to the roadway. When that snow is not there, it's still an issue that somebody's gonna get hurt one of these days. The last 2 pages that I gave you are a simple answer to a problem that I'm bringing up. If we can get the county to go and put up some of those pillars to cause a walkway on the shoulder of the road, if that's permissible by state highway or whatever else, I'm not sure. That's the easy answer that they can put on. If you all could put some pressure on the county to help alleviate this problem, that would be great. I don't think we're gonna, there's several other ways we could address it. Put a walkway in between two of the houses to the school from the neighborhood. We all know that's not gonna happen. Putting a sidewalk on Whitehall Road, I don't know how you can do that if that's the county's jurisdiction on the road. 2, Bridgewell Parkway is owned, privately owned, that's his ground. I don't think he's gonna take too kindly, you can take out enough space to put a sidewalk right there either. So if you all could work, Commissioner Finer, you brought up talking with the county administration every now and again. Hey, while you're talking about it, bring this to light. Maybe we can, if somebody addresses it, alleviate a problem and maybe save some kids aggravation.
That's
I like it.
terrible.
We brought this up once before, right? Like
We have.
2004, 2005. trying to
And
get a
still,
sidewalk.
here we are 20 years later.
The school board was even involved with, but, the school board was trying to figure out how we can work it where the kids can walk to school, but I don't know what happened.
I know, I remember the issue coming up, but what I don't want, here we are 20 years later, and
Even if you have a sidewalk, there's nothing keeping cars from,
you're right. But at least it gives them a sense of they're on the
I mean,
sidewalk.
we installed a sidewalk at Whitehall, the other side, right?
I ain't go so far.
Did the town install that sidewalk on the west side of the road?
West, southwest.
By Redner's,
Right.
down
By
Red,
Red, and I
by
also gave,
Redner's.
Jim a copy of this because he does have a contact with county roads as well.
Okay.
Dan, we did that sidewalk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
Well, then, if we did it on that side, maybe we can do it on the other side too. Something I didn't know that we'd be able to do. I'm
I
just
don't know,
trying to,
but I like
The
that.
property was a bit different for that one.
there was a difference in that one?
Yeah,
You own
yeah.
the property, okay.
This is interesting.
It's,
Yeah, you
it's,
can
I'm not gonna bring a
certainly-
problem without bringing a possible solution.
Well, listen, you can certainly
like it.
see the issue, when there's snow,
Absolutely.
right? It's a terrible situation, and they're walking in the road.
Yes, sir.
And my knee jerk would be, and it's gonna look like crap, but Jersey barriers you could put along the side there too, but it wouldn't look good.
Some might not. be
No one
happy
would,
with it,
no
but
one
I'm
would
just
want
saying.
that. But I like the delineators.
Yeah, they're cool.
Thank you for bringing this to
Thank
us.
you very much for listening.
Okay, we're
And by the
listening.
way, thank you for bringing your meetings to the 6 o'clock time, so that
Yep.
all the registered voters can come in and voice their
I
opinions
know, I
like they
hear.
all complained about when you had them during the day. Thank you very much.
We're
Thank
gonna have
you.
to start having meetings on social media. That's the only way you're gonna get.
You're only gonna get
involved.
people, that's right.
This is awesome.
Pat, you have anything?
I just want to remind everybody about our soup. There it is,
Yeah.
Friday night. We have 10 vendors. They're going to be participating. You'll pick up your ballots. You'll vote on, works just like the cookie throwdown. You vote on the cookie that you're the soup that you like best. They'll, inside the Elkton Alliance itself, there'll be 6 of the vendors.
Oh, my.
Okay, we'll be helping. The volunteers will be helping serve.
Who are the 4 on the street?
You know, Gene, off the top of my head, I think six slices is on.
Sonny's?
Sonny's is, I'm not gonna say
Okay.
because I don't have.
That's
it
all
in my
right.
head.
It's okay.
There's a list of the alliance and I don't have.
That's all right. I was just curious how
But
far we have to
to-
walk.
To address this, to address the concerns of the parking downtown, I'm downtown at least 4 or 5 times a week, and I think the board can say, yeah, Pat's there almost every day. I've never had a problem parking. Now, if you're talking about being able to park right in front of somebody's business, yeah, if somebody got there first, you're out of luck. I mean, it's just the way it is when you park in any town.
Well, thank you.
But there's pros and cons with the talking, and I don't mean to extend the conversation. Even when Mary Jo was doing a good job downtown, she had difficulty with business owners actually coming out and parking in front of the building and wouldn't move their vehicle. You've got people down to the 150 building even now, near the courthouse. A lot of those people park out there all day long because they know right now, unfortunately, there's not an officer to go down there and make a move. But it's pro and con each way. And maybe sometime we need to sit down and discuss what we can do.
Are we short of the parking person again?
Yeah, he came back and then before he started, he left. So we're still looking for a part-time, parking enforcement officer.
Taking the parking meters and stuff. That guy.
Well, thank you. Anyone on the Zoom meeting has anything to say this evening? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned.